Hey guys, it's Lindsay from Wannabe KY Homesteaders, and today I'm going to talk about 5 different things I wish I had known before getting chickens. So the first thing I wish I knew about chickens before getting them was the cost. This is not a cheap investment, no matter if you're just doing it for eggs, for meat, or just as a companion pet. So as babies, they need a brooder, they need a heat source, they need special food, grit, they need all these things to thrive and grow properly. As well as they start getting older, they're gonna need a coop to be in, they might need a run depending on where you're at, and then as adults, they're also gonna need a coop, a run. You have costs with bedding and food. You will need some basic vet supplies just to have on hand, just in case. And also the cost of birds can range. So you can find super cheap ones like 50 cents a bird, and I have seen people spend all the way up to hundreds of dollars for one chick. And if you're just looking at it for free eggs, those eggs are not free, and the likelihood of you recouping that money for these free eggs is slim to none. So the second thing I wish I knew before getting chickens was that there's a lot of laws and regulations, especially on where you live. If you live in the city, you likely can't have a rooster, and inevitably you might end up with a rooster. A lot of breeds do auto-sexing to where it's pretty easy to tell if there's a rooster or not, but sometimes you will end up with a rooster and they're not easy to get rid of. You can't just rehome them to anybody, so you might have to look into processing either yourself or sending them to get processed. So some places you cannot free range your chickens, especially if you're in the city. Neighbors aren't going to want them, they're going to complain about them. And also when you go to buy chickens, I'm in the state of Kentucky and you have to buy at least 6 chicks every time. Even if you come back multiple times, a lot of places will still make you buy the 6. So if you're looking just to get a couple of birds, I would highly recommend looking at an online hatchery where they ship lower numbers throughout the year. Then that way you don't necessarily have to have 6 each time you go. So the third thing I wish I knew before getting chickens was predators. Everything wants to eat chickens. Cats, dogs, hawks, coyotes, there are all sorts of predators for chickens, not only during the day as well as at night. So also thinking about protecting the chickens, you might need a more secure coop or a run, which is going to go back to point 1 where it's going to cost more money to protect this investment. So the fourth thing I wish I knew about chickens before getting them is chicken math. These guys are so addictive. There's so many fun breeds and colors. For me personally, I love all sorts of different colored eggs. I like to look at all the different ones. Also, each bird is different. They all have different personalities, and it's just really fun to acquire and get more of them. So if you say you're only going to get a certain number of chicks or chickens, likelihood you're going to end up with more. You're going to fall victim to chicken math. You're either going to have a rooster end up hatching some, you're going to end up going to a local farm swap, you're going to see more that you want, different breeds that you don't have. Every breed has pros and cons, but personally I just love, like I said before, all the different colored eggs and all the different colored looks of the chickens as well. So if you look on websites, there's different hatcheries you can look at, all the different breeds. I personally use Meyer Hatchery. I've always gotten fantastic quality birds from them, as well as they have fantastic resources, articles that you can always look and defer to if you have questions. So looking on websites at hatcheries, you can select different temperaments, different colored eggs, different size birds, and what exactly you're looking for, and they can narrow it down and they will have it. So the fifth thing I wish I knew about chickens before getting them is that they grow up quickly and they do not always lay eggs. So before you know it, your baby chicks are going to be jumping out of the brooder, going to want to be exploring, going outside, and additionally, it takes them a while sometimes to lay eggs. So going back to the previous point, if you look on hatchery websites, you can find a lot of information on how quick the birds will start laying. It'll also kind of give you a rough estimate of how many eggs they'll lay per year. So sunlight is a big factor in the chickens laying eggs. So obviously during the winter months, less sunlight, less eggs. Additionally, chickens don't lay necessarily their entire lives. As they get older, egg production will slow down dramatically. So before getting chicks and chickens, you might want to consider the previous points. But I can attest, they are great fun, they are highly addicting, and one of the best investments that we've ever made.